dudes and dudettes. So pretty big important news about an ex-USC player that was pretty much kind of kicked off the team, but it was because he had a burglary charge and he was going through all that stuff, and he already wasn't going to be around this year because of his grades and stuff, so he was already going to transfer to a junior college. But looks like the charges were probably put down to a misdemeanor because the judge had the authority to do that, because yesterday he put up that tweet saying that he's not going to come back to USC and most likely going to take a flight somewhere out of state. And it just pretty seems obvious that he's going to go to Arizona State, because that's where a lot of the troubled kids kind of go to, especially when you can't make grades. It's not that hard to keep grades while you're over there. It is tough at USC because they are a private school, but it just sucks that you lose a very talented player like that. Really had some high hopes for him, but anyways, good luck to him, and hopefully this is the correct decision for him and he stays positive throughout the whole entire time. And a few bit of news from yesterday that came out late, that Kaiser White got some work done on his knee. I guess it was just taking some stuff out or draining some fluids. And Coach Anthony Lynn said that he'd be out at least this next week coming up. I guess it's not that big of a procedure if it's only going to be 1 week he's out, but we'll see. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. He's been a pretty awesome guy for us as a rookie, especially on the defensive end. And then also Marvell Tell, the safety from USC, got Pac-12 Player of the Week for his special teams because he had a blocked field goal. So it's awesome that I think 3 out of the 5 weeks so far USC players have gotten there, even though they haven't been so confident on that side. But luckily they keep getting some stops here and there. With a few of these high school kids, football guys starting to commit, especially some of them, a lot of them soon, especially the ones that I want and hopefully that USC will get. So I'm gonna run down the top guys that I hope USC adds. I know they have about 14 guys right now that are supposedly committed to next year's class, so they have about 11 or so that they can do. So why not go for the top rated guys and guys who could plug in right away if you needed them, if there's any injuries or if they're just better than the guys you have right now. So I'm gonna go through that real quick and hopefully we get some of these guys. And like I always say, at least 50%, and I'll be happy. Alright, so the first 3 guys I want to start off with that are pretty much on the top of my list. I know one of them, well, I'll get to it. So Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously he's the #1 player in the whole nation. He's from California. It's pretty tough to let a guy who's #1 and from California to get out and go somewhere else, especially for USC when you're the more dominant team in California. So they better get this guy. I know it's been like an up and down thing whether he was interested or not, but it still seemed like he's a warm interested, so that's a good sign. And then #2 on my list is Fatui Tulele. He's a defensive tackle from Hawaii. Last 2 years he's been really high for USC. But for some reason a few months ago he let out his top 6 or 7 teams, the final 6 or 7, and USC was not on there. It sucks, but if he's definitely a guy you could flip and steal from another school, then he's definitely a difference maker, especially the guys they already have at that position. Brandon Peely, Marlon Tuliaupupu, and guys like Jay Tufele as well, guys who are starting to play now and they're only freshmen and sophomores and they look like they can already play in the NFL. So adding him to that group would be really awesome. And then another guy who's considered an athlete, Brew McCoy, but he plays more of a wide receiver role for modern day in California. I think he can flourish there. He can also play linebacker. I've seen him do that also a lot in high school. I honestly prefer him at the wide receiver position just because we have too many linebackers right now, especially young ones at the moment. So if he were to come to USC, I'm sure he'd be more of a wide receiver, but definitely a guy really high on the list that's really talented. USC definitely needs to get stronger on not only the defensive line that I mentioned before, but offensive line as well. There's just been too much inconsistency going on there. So guys like a Jonah T, who already committed to Oregon, but obviously he has not signed his letter of intent. So if you can flip a guy like that, he was one of the more physical offensive linemen I've seen in a long time, especially in all those camps he was going, even against the number one player, Kayvon Thibodeau. They were pretty much 50-50. So like I said, getting both of those guys on the same team would be amazing, but we'll see how that goes. And then like another guy, Enoch Viamahi, it's another great guy to look at. Sean Ryan as well. They're both really high on USC. So having both those guys at 4 stars would be really cool. And then another wide receiver who unfortunately had an injury recently and probably is going to miss the rest of the season, but Kyle Ford. He's from Orange Lutheran, I believe, in California, but he's really talented. I mean, at least body-wise, he already looks like he's a junior or senior in college. And it's pretty crazy that high school guys are just looking the way they are athletically, but it's too bad, unfortunate for his injury, but I'm pretty sure because of how much depth there is at USC at wide receiver, especially if they were to get a guy like Brew McCoy, then him just sitting out his first year as a redshirt would be really good for him, not only to get healthy, but learn the offense, to be able to play with JT. And with all those weapons, I don't know anybody who could stop USC. So Siaki Ika and Matthew Palomalu, another defensive tackles, nose tackles. You can never go wrong with enough. Obviously, USC basically has 3 at the moment, but if they were to get 1 from before and then add these other guys, and these guys either redshirt, something else like that, you know, it's just always great to have depth on the defensive line, no matter what position it is. So you can't go wrong here. These guys look like they're gonna be great. They're ginormous, so looks really awesome to have any of those guys. And then Max Williams and Trent McDuffie, both cornerbacks, both 4 stars. Max Williams is actually gonna commit within like 4 or 5 days, I believe, from this video. So, and USC is in his top 5, so hopefully. And there are like 2 other Pac-12 schools in there, so I just hope he doesn't pick them. But yes, it should be very interesting the next couple of days. You'll probably see that on a video later in the week. And then also Raylan Goforth. I noticed him a lot just because St. John Bosco has always had a few guys here and there, but this year's team definitely seems like there's a lot of guys going to come out that are good, kind of like how Mater Day was last year. But he can play, he's playing linebacker and safety, I believe, but in college, I think he's going to be like that nickel guy who plays free safety or strong safety and plays up close to the line of scrimmage and could defend very well. He has that ability. So I look forward to seeing him doing that. And then Drake Johnson, a guy actually from pretty close to where I'm at, from Corona Centennial. He actually moved up from a 3 to a 4 star from last year. So it's obvious that he has talent and he plays defensive end. So always good to have, like I said, guys on the defensive line, and he's very talented. I don't know why he's not actually ranked higher. I'm just glad he actually got to earn that 4 star, probably close to a 5th or a 5 star, but anyways, a 4 star is good enough for him. And he looks like he's gonna be pretty special. He is a high on USC as well, so hopefully he does pick him. Couple defensive backs or safeties, or actually the outside linebacker first, Henry To'ota'o. He's a really highly ranked guy, I think like top 37 overall, and he's from De La Salle, which puts out some pretty good talent here in California, but he isn't all that high on USC from what I know. But I just think he's a guy you can't really miss on. That's why I have him this low as far as the preferred list, just because he's not warm, but he's a very good player that I really like, and hopefully there's a chance that you could flip and get him interested, but we'll see how that goes. And then Noah Pola-Gates, he's a safety or defensive back as well at Arizona. I believe when they were over there this last weekend playing in Arizona, they actually went to his game on Friday night, some of the defensive coordinators, so that's pretty cool. Obviously they're showing them that they are interested and still really like him, so hopefully that's good enough to see if he's still interested or not. But like I said, this is hopefully we get some of these guys, if not all of them. And Leatu Latu and Joshua Pakola. So I always say just add more depth on the defensive line. They're really highly ranked guys as well, so I'm sure they're pretty good. Never wrong to add talent. And then Stephen Wright, I believe he's another defensive end as well. It's another more local product. Could probably sway him to come to USC. It's a lot of interesting guys. And yes, got one more. I'm gonna try to get his name right real quick. Hold on. And Sadaoa Lamea, tough name to remember. Hopefully I got that right. But yes, he's another offensive guard. Like I always said, you got to beef up those guys. A lot of very talented players coming out of high school at both those sides. If you could even get any of these guys, obviously they're still available. They're still interested. They're still looking. Any of these guys would be great. Like I said, if any of my lists, at least half of them, most of the times we've gotten most of those guys in the past that I've selected and I wanted coming out of high school, and most of them have been great. Some of them have been, speed bumps, and that's just life. You got to deal with it sometimes. You just never know what's more important in people's lives, especially very early on at that time. But just hope that, like I said, some of these guys get in. Very looking forward to what happens in a few days with Max Williams, and definitely more towards December when a lot of these guys can sign officially and be already committed and not have to wait till February. So hopefully a lot of these guys do, especially Chris Steele, one of my favorite guys coming out, the cornerback from St. John Bosco out of California. But thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think, and have a great rest of your day.